Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, November 1st, 2014. This is episode 1131. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Prosper. Prosper is a peer-to-peer lending marketplace that connects people who are looking to borrow money with those who have money to lend. Visit prosper.com/twit and receive a $50 Visa prepaid card when you get a loan. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and, digital photography and smartphones, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. I say that so fast, and I know it is, and I'm going to slow down now. Ready? 888-827 5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. You can call me and ask a question about technology or get some buying advice, or I'm just glad to chat with you. 8888 Ask Leo. Oh, I had a little bit of a frustrating Thursday. Google had announced that they were going to put on sale their newest smartphone. Not like I need a new smartphone by any means, but I really was interested in trying their Nexus 6. So Google does these Nexus phones, and I've had every one since the Nexus 1. And in the past they've been kind of here's an inexpensive phone for developers so they can write software that works with Android. And it's always been, the geeks have always liked these phones because they represent a pure, as we call it, Google experience. Pure Google experience. All the Google goodness without any of the carrier cruft. The stuff that the manufacturers and the carriers add to these phones. Those apps that you don't want, but you can't get rid of, that kind of thing. The Nexus 6 is Google's latest. Won't be out till next month. Actually, this month, November 21st, I think they start shipping. And in stores probably like your AT&T, your cell phone stores, Verizon, all of them are going to carry it. T-Mobile, Sprint, U.S. Cellular, probably early December. And one of the reasons it's interesting, it'll be the first phone to have the new Google version of Android. They call it Lollipop 5.0. And it's always interesting to see what Google's intended direction is with Android. So October 29th, they said, we're going to put it on sale and you for pre-order. And it sold out in 20 seconds. Not 30 seconds, not a minute, 20 seconds. I mean, sold out, gone. That's better than gone in 60 seconds, gone in 20 seconds. Maybe Nicolas Cage will star in that one. Holy cow. I guess there's some demand for this phone, even though it was, in previous years, the Nexus is, well, not always, but mostly were less expensive than the other high-end Android phones. Not this case. 20 seconds. You never know, though. Does that mean they had 5 of them? Or does that mean they had 5,000 or 500,000? I mean, all I know is I got in the car to come to work. Still hadn't gone on sale. By the time I got to work 5 minutes later, I have a nice short commute. 5 minutes later, they were sold out. And then I asked one of my colleagues who did get one, I said, well, how long? He said, well, he had 2 screens going at the same time. And he was refreshing left, refreshing right, refreshing left, refreshing right. He said, I got in, got one, and they were sold out. He said it was about 20 seconds. Yikes. I don't know why I mentioned that. I mean, it's probably not a phone. Most people are interested. Well, should I get the Galaxy S5 or the iPhone 6? What should I get? The Note 4, the LG G3? Why do they always have numbers? I guess because they're sequential, right? Apple even is back to numbers. Briefly, they were calling the new iPad, just the new iPad. Briefly. 1 year they did that. Then they did the iPad Air, and now it's the iPad Air 2. So they're back to numbers. They couldn't hold out. They held out for two years, and then that was it. Sorry. Sometimes the numbers are meaningless, like with Windows 10. The next version of Windows is the successor to Windows 8.1, is not Windows 9, as one would think. Nobody says these have to be sequential numbers. It's Windows 10. They're going to skip over 9. It's very strange. I don't understand it. So, but this is the computer. This is the world we live in. And acronyms like crazy. We were trying to figure out the other day if we could do an entire show. I'd love to do an entire show with acronyms only and maybe a few conjunctions. I think we could almost do it. It would be unintelligible, but we could almost do it. 8888 Ask Leo is the number if you want to talk high tech. I'd love to talk about it with you. HP has announced a new smartwatch. Heather's a fashionista. Maybe you know the name. Is it Jean Bastien? He's a famous designer. I don't know.
I don't know that one.
Don't know Bastien? 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 They're going to start selling this watch in about a week, November 7th, I think. $350. It'll have an alligator. Oh, I'm sorry, $650. There's two versions. There's a $350 and a $650. The $650 will have an alligator band. The other will be, I don't know, something cheaper. And it's a smartwatch. I mean, it's HP, so it's a smartwatch. Like many of these smartwatches, it doesn't have actual hands. It has hands on an LCD screen. But it won't. No pedometer. No pedometer, no health measurements at all. It's a notification watch. It'll notify you when you have a text message. You won't be able to talk to it and respond. No, just go bzz, and you'll see the number of text messages will increment. Michael Bastien. Does that ring a bell? Oh, Michael Bastien. Oh, that. I don't know. Anyway, that does not have a name. I mean, a number in its name. It doesn't even have a name. I think it's just the watch. The watch. So we talked last week about the fact that Apple Pay wasn't going to be accepted anymore in CVS and Rite Aid pharmacies, and that's because, oops, sorry about the big bong. That's my Mac starting up. That's because I said Apple Pay and I got excited. That's because they have a competing charge program that'll eliminate credit cards, and this is from Walmart. So of course they don't even want any credit cards. You'll have to use a debit Walmart card or a debit card because they don't want to pay credit card fees. More importantly, they don't want any of that personal information leaking out to credit card companies. They want to keep it all to themselves. Things like your health status, your social security number, your home address, your phone number, all of that. They'll know all of that, and they're going to keep it to themselves. And that's why they don't want to do Apple Pay, because Apple Pay hides all that information from you. They call it MCS, the Merchant Exchange, and it is not as easy to use as Apple Pay. For instance, the way it works, you go to the terminal, and you have to have the Currency, is the name of the program, installed on your iPhone or your Android phone. You run the Currency app. The terminal, you say, okay, I'm going to pay with Currency. The clerk grumbles and then puts up one of those QR codes, one of those magic computer-readable squares on the little terminal screen. You take a picture of that. Currency then puts a different code on your screen, which you show the camera on the terminal, and then the transaction's done. And of course, Walmart says, well, we think this is more secure than Apple's solution. We keep it private. Only we know your personal information. Walmart, Rite Aid, CVS, Kohl's, Target, all the companies that participate. Well, they already were hacked. It's in beta. It's not even in wide release. They haven't rolled it out. They won't roll it out till next year, and it's already been hacked. And all the Walmart said, well, it wasn't us. It was our email provider that got hacked. Well, that's even less encouraging, Walmart. I hate to tell you. How many other people have this information? Currency wasn't hacked. The email provider was hacked that has all the email addresses. Oh, Lord. Just use Apple Pay. Just give it up. Or Google Wallet. Same thing. Both protect your privacy and use credit cards. Oh, we don't want that. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Are you being facetious, Web 3486? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. I don't want to turn this into the privacy show. Goodness knows. Just assume everybody's spying on you all the time. But we just learned this week that both Verizon and AT&T send out a little unique identifier. When you use your smartphone to browse, I bet you Sprint and T-Mobile do it too. But we only know about Verizon and AT&T. When you use your smartphone to browse, any smartphone on the Verizon wireless network, Verizon, along with everything else, sends out a unique identifier to the website. That's you. It's your special identifier. It can't be changed. In fact, nobody even knew this was happening until recently. And AT&T does the same thing. And you might say, well, why are they doing that? Well, think about it. I guess for advertising purposes, right? You know, we turn off cookies. We go into our browser. We say do not track if you're worried about privacy. But the problem really is that your internet service provider is the ultimate determinant of how much privacy you have. They know all, and apparently in some cases tell all. So what the heck? What are you going to do? If you carry a smartphone, I figure you should assume that you've been completely compromised. It's fine. You're carrying in your pocket a thing with a camera, a microphone, and a GPS that's all the time broadcasting to people you don't know, and you might as well just assume that this is the ultimate. I mean, isn't it? If George Orwell were alive today, he wrote 1984. Remember, and the thing in 1984 that was always spying on you was your TV set. At the same time as you were watching it, it was watching you. That's nothing. That's child's play. If he had thought it was probably didn't even think it was possible that we could have a supercomputer in our pocket. I mean, who even dreamt of the global positioning system? Aren't we kind of amazed? I mean, really, we've become immune to miracles in our lives. The global positioning system. 20 years ago, if you'd said, oh, yeah, you'll have a device in your pocket that can pinpoint you within 3 meters anywhere in the world. What? Anywhere in the world. Oh, no, you'll never get lost again. I've said this lately. I hope you have too. Thank you for GPS in the car. Maybe it's only men. Women don't mind asking for directions, but this is for guys, so we never have to ask directions again. Never again will I have to pull up to the gas station, and while the guy's checking my oil and filling me up and washing my windshield, ask him, I guess I can't do that anyway, where I'm going. Hey, Grace Monkey, how do you get to Roanoke, Virginia? He's in a booth. He's a sealed, bulletproof booth. He can't talk to you, and he doesn't know anyway. Hey, come here, change my oil. Isn't it? It's illegal is it New Jersey? There's some state in this country, you can tell me, where it's illegal to fill your own car up. Anyway, GPS I'm sorry, I got really distracted there. GPS in your pocket. George Orwell would have loved this. But he couldn't even conceive of it. Let alone a microphone and a camera in your pocket, and we celebrate it. We welcome it. Thank you. I, for one, wish to thank our new overlords for these. It's New Jersey, yeah, and Oregon. You can't serve your own gas. And, yeah. Can you ask for directions while they're filling your tank up in New Jersey and Oregon? You don't need to. You've got GPS. 8888 Ask Leo. You know, Heather, you should save me from this privacy loop by giving me a fantastic caller. Our first caller of the day, Susie in West Covina, California. Hi, Susie.
Hi, Leo.
How are you?
I'm doing all right, I guess.
Uh-oh, you sound like you have technology troubles, computer woes.
Definitely. I have a 17.3 inch laptop, and I'm getting tired of dragging it around.
Yeah, I bet it's pretty heavy. That's like a pizza box.
And then so I was hoping to get either a tablet
Good.
or a laptop.
Good. What do you do with your computer, Susie?
I usually surf the internet and check my email, but I know you mentioned about using Google Docs and stuff, and I want to be able to use my computer with Word and Excel, and I don't want to have to be online.
And you don't want to have to be online.
Yeah, because sometimes I go somewhere where I want to do something, and they don't necessarily have Wi-Fi.
Right. So you're not always online. You know, I almost right up to that point, I almost said you should just get an iPad because it has Microsoft Office now available for it. So you can use Word and Excel. Certainly can browse and do email on almost anything. That's what most people do. Offline, you can save documents offline, but it really, even Microsoft Office nowadays is strongly encouraging you to use Microsoft's OneDrive and store your stuff offline. Almost everything, though, will let you download and save files locally. Are you writing a novel? Is it a big?
Sometimes I just like to write notes.
Yeah, to take a journal. Yeah, it depends. So the reason I ask is if it's giant spreadsheets and giant documents, you may not want to use a tablet, but that's fine. You have local storage. Even, Microsoft did these ads with the Pawn Stars where they say, well, I won't take that Chromebook. It doesn't work offline. It does work offline. It wants to be online, but those times when you're not online, you can still work on stuff locally. You have to kind of think ahead of time and save it locally.
But does that save the whole application? Or say if I'm in school and I want to write a term paper, but I'm somewhere where I don't have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, you can do that. You could do that on a tablet. You could do that on a Chromebook. Microsoft even offers Office in a browser, which works great on a Chromebook. I think all of these systems can be set so that you have limited storage, not completely limited, but it's not like a terabyte of storage on a Chromebook or a tablet. But it's certainly enough. Even 16 gigabytes, the minimum is enough to store term papers, even novels. War and Peace is only 2 megabytes. Megabytes. I think that's right. Maybe it's more, but it's not much more. So it's not like text isn't very big, in other words. Mm-hmm. It's images, it's music, it's rich media that gets big. So I think, if you had Office 365, you could have a desktop at home if you want. Now, if you really want a light laptop, there's very many good, really light laptops. The MacBook Air is very light, very portable, and is a real computer. So is my favorite Windows laptop is an Acer S7. So thin, so light. Both of those would be good choices as well. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. War is a gig and peace is a K. Let me see. How big is the Gutenberg, whatever it was, the Gutenberg collection had War and Peace, and I thought it was really small. Okay, Google. Hey, how big is War and Peace? The problem is they're telling me 1,455 pages. Okay, Google. How many megabytes is War and Peace? On the Kindle, it's 2 megabytes. There you go. Thank you, Virgil. My memory is not as flawed as I thought. 2 megabytes. Or maybe 3 if you get UTF-8 text. Ah! There's a man behind me. Hello, Mr. Man. How are you,
Hey,
sir?
Leo. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Did you have
Very
a good
good.
Halloween?
I did. I'll show you my Halloween pictures.
Oh, some pictures.
Did you dress up? You don't have any
Nah.
reason because you have no small people in your.
Well, we got plenty of small people in the neighborhood, but
Yeah,
I
you-
wanted to avoid having candy in the house because then I would have eaten it.
Oh, so what did you give them?
Nothing. I turned off the lights.
Nothing.
And
You're
went,
that guy.
I'm that guy.
Surprisingly large number of houses with lights turned off this year. I
There
was
were a
kind
lot
of
lights.
shocked.
Yeah.
I think.
I just went out and strolled amongst the ghouls, actually.
Well, there's Michael and his little friend Bridget. They're characters from Minecraft.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, she was a creeper. He was Hugh O'Brien, or whatever, Hare O'Brien, something like that. Here we are. I am the guy on the left. Can you identify that character?
No, with a little baby sling.
Yeah. Some people actually recognized me.
I
Anybody?
I would not have.
Anybody? Let's see. And Lisa, by the way, is the same. We were twinsies. Although Lisa looks like a Wookiee. I, on the other hand, look exactly like the character I'm playing, unfortunately. I even have a man purse, a European carry-all. I don't know what this is. There we go.
Oh, is that from the movie Hangover?
There! You win!
I didn't see that movie, but I remember the sort of bearded character.
Yeah, Zach Galifianakis.
That's right.
I look like Bear.
Galifianakis.
Yeah.
I love the pixelated stuff. I saw somebody else do that.
What do you mean? Oh, this is our Blue Apron. I'll save that for later. You mean that's Minecraft, baby?
Yeah. Well, is that not pixelated?
8-bit, we call it.
Okay.
8-bit. Yeah, baby.
8-bit, baby. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I replaced all my workforce with the new precision course. Oh, gosh. Are they juicy and delicious? Hey, look who's here. Speaking of juicy and delicious, it's our home theater guru. He's trying to become less juicy and delicious as am I. Scott
Yes.
Wilkinson. No Halloween candy, huh?
No. I did not hand out candy. I turned off the lights.
Good man.
Yeah.
No, not good man.
No. Halloween's great, but I actually went out and strolled amongst the ghouls last night.
That's fun, isn't it? Yeah.
Just to see. I mean, it's the one night of the year where everybody is out walking the streets
is
and
kinda
having
cool.
fun.
And that way you don't see all the kids crying in front of your house because you don't have candy. So that's another I'm amazed. Halloween has changed over the years.
Well, that's true.
And so many people didn't have their lights on. I thought that was kind of in a suburban, residential neighborhood. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
That's all right. We got plenty of candy. I mean, it's not
Oh
like
yeah, I'm sure they got plenty
It's
of
not
candy
like there's
across the
not a
street
ton.
from my house. Across the street from my house, a guy spends 2 months building a haunted house thing on his lawn, and the line was all the way down the block for people to go in, and
There you go.
people were screaming in there.
he's probably giving out full-size candy bars too.
You probably.
Probably. It's that kind of guy. So Scott joins us every week to talk about home theater, big screen TV, surround sound, all of that jazz. I'm still waiting for my Pono player, by the way, Neil Young. They said it would come out in October. I think we've missed the deadline.
Yeah, well, as is often the case.
This is the high-res music player. That's all the rage these days. Although I can play high-res files now on many
on
of
one
my
or another of your phones.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of cool.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Pono players presumably got the highest quality electronic components in
Right.
it. So
it's to replace an iPod. By the way, Apple killed the iPod Classic. We're slowly seeing the end of the iPod.
Oh man. Well, it's understandable.
Yeah, everybody uses their phone, right?
Everybody uses their phone. So what do you
Who
need a
needs an
separate
iPod?
iPod for?
Yeah.
Same thing. Well, I got a couple questions here for you. I thought I would answer from Jeffrey Hartzler. He's got a man cave in his basement, and he's a huge NFL fan, and he has two things. He's got DirecTV Sunday Ticket, and he has 2 TVs down there that he wants to show 2 different things on, Red Zone channel and something else. But his receivers are in a different room. So how can he get that signal down into his man cave? Well, you could drill holes and run wires, but HDMI is not going to necessarily run that far. And you and I have talked before about what are called balins, balanced, unbalanced converters that can send HDMI over fiber or Cat5 or coax or something like that and send it a very long distance. But that's kind of a pain in the butt. So the better solution is wireless. But you have to, there are several different wireless HDMIs on the market, and you have to be a little careful. You can't use the one called wireless HD because it operates in the 60 gigahertz radio frequency range and won't go beyond one room. It won't go through walls.
Wow.
So you need something in the 5 gigahertz RF frequency range, which will theoretically go through walls. It depends on the walls. If you got a lot of steel in there, if you got a lot of concrete or bricks, it'll shorten the distance. But depending on how far it is from the receiver in one room, upstairs, he says, into the basement, then that might very well be able to work. I found one particularly interesting product from IO Gear called, it's the 5x2 HDMI Matrix Pro. So it has 5 HDMI inputs and 2 HDMI outputs, each of which can go to a separate receiver, wireless receiver, and play 2 different programs on each of those streams. So each of those 2 TVs could see the 2 different games that he's looking for.
Which one of these do you use?
I don't use wireless typically because
that's why you're recommending it, because it's terrible. I'm surprised. You got to try it first before you recommend it.
Okay, all right. Well,
it's not good.
It's not good. Have
you
tried
good.
this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well then,
I don't recommend. The
do.
problem with wireless is it's. I mean, if you maybe you're in a perfect situation, and you wouldn't have any interference, but glitches, dropouts, non-working. A lot of the big problem with wireless is, remember that the HDMI tells the set what resolution to use, and unfortunately, because the signal is not perfect, it kind of comes and goes. The set gets very confused with wireless, in my experience, and doesn't know what resolution to show, and then it gives you a blank screen, and I just gave up. Seriously. So here's your mission, Paul. Paul, what's your name? Scott. Here's your mission. Go.
Yes.
I work with people of so many names now, and
Indeed.
it's hard for my small brain to keep track of them all. Go out and try some of these and let us know which one works best. I haven't tried them all. My concern about the multiple HDMI over wireless is the ones I've used couldn't do one. So I'm a little nervous. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You have, in fact, inspired me to do exactly that, because I don't have personal experience.
Let's see. Selected namee in the chat room says wireless HDMI blows. Okay. Redman says, I tried wireless. When a police car and ambulance passed by, it got distorted. On the other hand, I have used wireless in some circumstances, the TiVo, but they're actually, I don't know if that's really wireless. They're all wired in. Yeah, I don't think that's really wireless either. Wireless just seems to me to be a challenging, let's say a challenging environment.
Well, and I think particularly going through walls, and you're right about that. I have actually tried wireless within a room.
How did that work?
That worked fine.
Okay.
I had no problem with it.
I'm concerned about the amount of data and the robustness of HDMI, which was never intended to be over long distances and wireless. It was always intended to be wired.
Yep.
But I understand the issue. Although it's a little odd. Why would you have your TV in one room and your stuff in the other? I don't know.
Well, he must have other TVs near where the receivers are.
I see.
But he wants to go. He wants to then go down into his man cave and watch sports.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've used Slingbox, I've used TiVo, and I've used the new Comcast Xfinity X1 system. But all of them use they have a direct connect to your Wi-Fi. I feel like they're using Wi-Fi. And they perhaps have some robustness.
Well, that may be
built
part
in.
of the problem. That may be part of the
problem.
No,
they work. They work. And I think the reason is because they're not expecting HDMI. So they convert it to HDMI internally. So it's like a Balun where you have the Wi-Fi is in between 2 boxes that aren't just HDMI stuff. They're smart about the network. They're reassembling the packets. They're perhaps introducing some buffering so that they don't have to worry about drop packets. HDMI doesn't know anything about that.
Well, it's true. On the other hand, I would think that if you put your HDMI on your home network, you've got other traffic on that home network, right? You might have somebody in the other room downloading a big file or something like that, and that would cause a problem too.
But that's what I'm saying is that they're not just see, HDMI, wireless HDMI is a dumb box. These things, Slingbox TiVo and X1, I think are probably reassembling, buffering. They're handling these problems and then converting it to HDMI so that they have a consistent HDMI stream. HDMI is, I don't know.
HDMI is...
it's finicky.
It's finicky. That's a good word. Perfect.
All right. You know what? We can find out more. We'll ask our audience. You ask your folks at the AVS Forum. That's where he's editor-in-chief, avsforum.com. And we'll talk more about it later. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I guess if you had... See, I don't know. I think probably... I don't know, because I haven't done extensive testing of it. So maybe they have better solutions now. But
I would have thought that a dedicated HDMI wireless thing would be better than Wi-Fi because of that traffic problem. But as you say,
if you think about it, it's the opposite. Because they're not going to, in a dedicated thing, all they're doing is like a balun. They have two ends and they're sending a signal, and they're hoping that that signal is robust enough so that the HDMI works. These other things are using Wi-Fi and reassembling the packets. They're not sending HDMI data. They're sending data, packeted data, which they then reassemble. They buffer. They handle. They handle out of order and all of that stuff because they have computers on both ends.
Yep.
I don't know. I've never had any experience, successful experience with Wi-Fi, HDMI rather, over wireless. Anybody else have some opinions? We'd love to.
Well, somebody in the chat room at one of these iPhone, here we go, iPhone 48374 says 60 gigahertz HDMI is amazing. And that's what I have some experience with. But it's only within one room.
Yeah, because it's so high frequency, that'll bounce off anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So iPhone 48374, if you used it only in the same room?
Had to have.
Yeah.
Couldn't possibly have gone. If you're in an apartment building, if you're in an older house with brick, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
now
go ahead.
I was going to say I need to actually do some experiments with some of these products. You are exactly right.
It's using Mocha, which is different. Yeah.
Mocha is different. That's over coax.
Right.
That's a wired system.
See, that's the thing about like the X1. They're all connected to the coax, so they can use Mocha.
Right, and the coax goes throughout
the
your
TiVo
house.
uses coax too, come to think of it. So yeah, everything that's connected to coax isn't even wireless. Yeah.
That's right.
I have had experience with baluns, and that's worked fine.
Yeah.
In fact, I did a 30 or 40 foot throw with HDMI and baluns. But boy, I never was able to get. Of course, maybe I didn't use anything recently. This was a couple of years ago, so maybe they've gotten better.
Maybe they've gotten better. I know that WHDI is in its second generation now, so that may be something.
The chat room seems pretty unified that not to use it.
Don't use it. All right, I gave bad advice. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm sorry to do that to you, but I wanted to make sure that we didn't recommend people go out and buy something.
No. You're exactly you should have done that. You should have done that. I was too quick on the draw.
I'm very sensitive to that because we don't want to get in a situation where people call me and say, "Hey, it didn't work."
Yeah, right.
I get enough of that.
Wireless HDMI Web 2016. Wireless HDMI is awful. Never use it again. Okay.
That was my reaction, but I had such a bad. It was so useless. It was such a waste of money that I didn't try any more. So
you just said,
I'm unfortunately not willing. I should, because it kind of is my job to try this stuff. But it's it adds up, and it doesn't. And I just unless I start seeing people start to say, "Hey, this one worked." Like I did the same thing with power line networking. Which didn't work for so long, and now it's gotten better. It's more reliable. So that might be a better solution.
It might very well be.
Yeah.
K6 Cam is asking about HDMI over Ethernet.
Yeah, that's the Balun. Oh, well, no, that's not exactly a Balun.
That's not exactly a Balun. It's taking your Ethernet and running it over your, I guess, over your home network.
Do you want to stick around for the top of the hour? All right.
You bet.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Love to hear from you. If you have experience with wireless HDMI or getting your video signals from one room to another, love to hear about it. My only experience lately has been with these solutions that use coax. My Xfinity X1 box, for instance, all the X1 boxes, there's only one DVR in the whole house, and then there are multiple other simple, no storage X1 boxes, and they communicate over the coax, I believe, using a technology called Mocha, to the living room DVR. So we record in the living room, and then it can play back anywhere in the house. But that's, I don't think, wireless. I think that's using, I was incorrect. I think that's using the coax. Similarly, I have a TiVo, and those do the same thing, the Romeos. They can talk to other TiVos. Although I have used, TiVo has the capability of watching on your iPad, and that's worked fine, but that's using the internet. That's not HDMI. That's using your local area network or the internet. I can do both. And I have played with Slingbox, and that's similar. I think in most cases, these are not I know these are not wireless HDMI solutions. So if anybody's used wireless HDMI, let me know. Maybe there is a way to do it. Alan is next in Hawaii. Hi, Alan, you lucky dog. Leo Laporte.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. You know, I talked to you about a month ago because I was on my way to China and using my smartphone and also taking my computer and talking back to my office. And I've got the good, the bad, and the ugly to report back to you.
That's what I want to hear. That's great. You were concerned, of course, that Facebook and Twitter and other services were blocked in China. You wanted a way that you could use. Did you end up using a VPN?
No, I kind of risked it because I use remote desktop, and I do have a specific port. You know, I just don't use the default port in my system here. So because I have a firewall, and the good to report is that both the remote desktop and TeamViewer worked flawlessly. It was no problem.
That's probably because there's different ways that the Great Firewall of China or any firewall can block traffic. One is simply by port. So, you know, that sounds like that's the way they were doing it, which is, hey, we're just going to block the standard ports used for RDP. Then we don't have to, you know, think about it. And if anybody's sophisticated enough to use an alternate port, well, we won't worry about them. The other way, deep packet inspection or stateful packet inspection allows them to do it by looking into your content and saying, oh, I could tell, you know, looking at the headers and so forth, I could tell what that is, and blocking it. So it sounds like they're using the simpler but less effective method. So that's good to know.
Now, I had some other good things that went on was that my phone carrier is T-Mobile, and believe it or not, shockingly, and this is just between you and me, I was able to use Google and Facebook and everything else in Beijing.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Now, T-Mobile offers, and I've used this in London, they offer free data. It's low speed. It's 2G, but that's still better than nothing as you travel.
It was a little slow, and the cab drivers, because no one speaks English there whatsoever, when I was trying to get somewhere and I brought up my Google map, they nearly got into a car accident saying, Google. And that's the only thing they knew.
We've never seen that.
You know? And
that's interesting. I guess you're going through T-Mobile servers, which are not blocked somehow.
Well, I went through China Telecom, which was kind of interesting. But, of course, in my hotel room with the wireless that the hotel provided, my iPad could not use any of those services. So
it just shows you this so-called Great Firewall of China is not particularly effective. And I think the Chinese authorities know that, and they expect the smarter people to get around it, and they're not worried about them. They just want to keep kind of the masses from learning what's going on.
But I did have friends that went to China a month before me, and they had AT&T, and they were not able to use.
Interesting.
Now, some of the other weird things that went on while we were there was that, and you mentioned about with T-Mobile having only 2G speed. When I got there, I got this wonderful text message saying, hey, if you want 4G speed, you can pay an extra fee, which I did, but I was never able to get it, and I had to call them, and of course they reversed the charge.
Good.
But
that has to do with, that is a very complicated topic. That has to do with the radio frequencies. So it depends on the phones. You know, in fact, Apple made a lot of hay saying, look, we now support almost all the LTE frequencies in the world, and that's because they want to sell in China. So not every phone will have the right frequencies for every country.
Now, the weirdest thing that happened, which is part of my call today, was something that I experienced, and I'm wondering if it's going to come to the United States. I would be walking around the city, and all of a sudden I would get a text message in Chinese, obviously, but when I had a guide with me sometimes, I said, what is this? And he said, it's an ad. And
wow.
And it was very odd to get a text message that obviously was coming from
China Telecom is where it's coming from.
Well, it was coming. No, it was the weird thing. It was location specific. We passed by a building somewhere, and
so
it was,
China Telecom knows where you are. Your own provider would as well when you get home. So they obviously, something that it would be kind of repugnant in the United States, but obviously they don't care in China. They know where you are, and they don't mind you knowing that.
And that was part of my question today is this something that's going to come to the United States where I'm going to be passing by
over my dead body?
Well, is that something that's regulated? Am I going to be driving by McDonald's, and I'm going to get a text message saying, come in for a free Big Mac?
I don't think it's currently regulated. I certainly get, you get them today, free text message. Here's a free text message from T-Mobile. You know, we've got great rates so I'm already getting a little bit of that. And they always make sure to say, this isn't coming against your total text messages. We're sending this free, but it's still an ad. And I think that, so they have the capability, and I don't think it's illegal, or they couldn't do even that. But I think if they are well aware that there would be a consumer hue and cry if they did that, and maybe even the regulations would be introduced, because we don't want. I don't want ads popping up. On the other hand, location-based advertising is perhaps the hottest topic right now for mobile. Google wants to do it. Everybody wants to do it. They want to be able to, and this is why Apple. What kind of phone did you use?
I had a Note 3.
Okay. This is why Apple, on its iPhone, kind of annoyingly reiterates, even after you give an application permission to know your location, will say one more time, hey, you know that this thing is always monitoring your location. Is that okay with you? And those are where you would see location-based apps, your browser or, TripIt. One of the apps that you're running, Foursquare. I get when I open Foursquare, I get little tips. It says, oh, hi. In fact, Foursquare gives me notifications. Oh, I see your P.F. Chang's. You know, the peanut roasted chicken is fabulous. And that's an ad. So that's through an app, though, not from your carrier. So I think it's just a matter of time. But
all I can say is boo.
Boo. And what I would hope is that the carriers would give you an opt-out. So that's interesting. So you got, as you traveled around, were they commercial messages?
They were messages for things like, how about a great massage?
Yeah.
Wow. No, they were the seedy kind of messages.
Seedy messages. Oh, that's even worse.
For things like...
That's even worse. And it was coming... Yeah, I understand. You don't have to go into detail.
Yeah.
Were they... And they were standard SMS text messages coming from your carrier?
Exactly.
Well, there you go. It's just a matter of time. China is the harbinger of our future. Oh, boy. That would be... I would not want seedy messages. The
good, the bad, and the ugly from China, Leo.
Hey, I really appreciate the report back, Alan. You couldn't use Facebook, you couldn't use Twitter, you couldn't use Google unless you used your T-Mobile phone, and then it worked.
Right, and so my workaround in my hotel was I tethered as my own hotspot.
Very nice. Now you have kind of unfettered internet access. But it really brings home how bad it could be. It really brings that home. Hey, thank you for that. Did you have a great time in China?
It was amazing. A great time, great cultural experience.
Isn't it? What an amazing country. And the food, oh my goodness.
Except for a 6-year-old.
No, yeah. I went there with my son when he was, I think, 12 or 13, and he to this day says the best food he's ever had. So just wait a few years.
Great. Google Maps was great as far as finding the nearest McDonald's.
I think traveling without Google Maps would be hard nowadays. Hey, thank you.
Bet.
Yeah. It's good very interesting information. Very interesting information. We're going to take a break. News at the top of the hour is next. We will be back with much more. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, the idea, I didn't want to burst anybody's bubble. But this whole, flushing your cookies thing, it's kind of meaningless. Cookies are actually relatively benign. And I always thought it was the case that it's just if people stopped supporting cookies, they would just find other ways to. Steve was talking about kind of a super cookie that can be generated very easily based on. Turns out if simply by querying the browser, if you can get, I can't remember how many factors, 6 or 7 factors, things like the resolution, the app versions for Flash and other stuff, all of which can be queried from the browser. You put enough of those together, you can almost uniquely identify every user. And so that's the super cookie that doesn't really require a cookie. And then there's this, obviously there's other identification techniques. Your ISP could very well be doing this as well, The ISP, all the traffic that you send out goes through your ISP. And if your ISP is, as mine is, Comcast, they don't really have much incentive to protect your privacy. This is why I kind of support third-party independent ISPs. All right, I'm going to eat my salad.
You eat your salad.
Scott Wilkinson is going to deliver the truth.
Oh, hallelujah. I've just been looking up a couple things for Web 6995, who asked me about the Outlaw 975 surround processor. Outlaw is an online web-only company that is owned by the same guy who owns Atlantic Technology, but they do only online stuff, and they have power amps and surround processors, basically. And they're very inexpensive. They're very value-conscious products. And I was just looking at a couple of the reviews of this surround processor called the 975. Everybody seemed to, the people that I read, Andrew Robinson and Daniel Kuman over at Sound and Vision, both really liked it a lot. It's bare bones. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but if what you want is to decode surround formats and play surround sound and stuff, it should work just fine. Undoubtedly, it does not have Atmos, so if you're looking for the latest and greatest, it's not going to be there. Let's see, Web 0756. I'm a happy cord cutter with lots of TV channels from my window antenna. I just set one of those up for a friend of mine a little while ago here in LA, and man, oh man, you get a lot of channels. Is there a basic digital video recorder player box out there with no subscription needed, with or without a digital tuner? Hard drive instead of DVR. I'm not quite sure I know what that means. There are certainly over-the-air DVRs or digital recorders that don't need a subscription. TiVo kind of does. Well, I think you can use TiVo with over-the-air still. I mean, certainly I have a Series 3, which is kind of an older one, and you can use that over-the-air without a subscription, although you do need the TiVo subscription. So never mind. I'm trying to think of the name of the Channel Master. That's what it is. Channel Master, I know, makes some DVRs. I'm going to look that up right now. And, channelmaster.com. They got DVRs and antennas and stuff that... and it looks like the Engadget just 2 days ago wrote something about adding YouTube to its subscription-free DVR. So now you're going to start getting online content as well. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. W. Scott is 1. Best 5.1 surround sound option for TV. Very open-ended question. Depends on your budget. If you want true 5.1 surround with actual speakers around your room, I always recommend for speakers the Pioneer Andrew Jones designed speakers. You have the floor standers, which are called the FS22, and the bookshelf, which is called the BS22. And there's a center channel and a subwoofer that matches those. And I think the whole package is something like 5.1 packages on the order of $500 or $600. So that is definitely what I recommend. If you need a sound bar, if you can't accommodate real speakers, the Vizios are pretty good. The larger one in particular, the 50-inch, I think it is, 52-inch maybe, has actual physical surround speakers. It has front 3 channels in a sound bar, and then actual physical surround speakers that attach by wires to the subwoofer, but then are wireless to the sound bar. So you don't need wires running from the front to the back of the room. And we just published a review of that. Mark Henninger wrote a review of that sound bar on AVS. So go check that out. And he was pretty pleased. And, the price of it, $200 or $300, something along those lines. Let me take a look. Sybil, good day and cheers to you. So glad to see you here. So yeah, anybody else have any other questions? Why does Amazon Instant Video not support 5.1 audio on the PS4 app? I don't know. It's a bummer. Web 2016 loves the Pioneer sound system that I recommended. Glad to hear it. It's such a killer deal. It's amazing. How they managed to do that, I honestly don't know. So let me see if I can find that review of the Vizio soundbar. I'm going to go to AVS, which is, of course, where it is, and look for the Vizio soundbar review. I should be able to find that before too long here while I'm waiting for my computer. Oh, I thought that might be the music, but no. Can't seem to find it off the top of quickly here, so I don't want to. Jim 4 asks if the Samsung soundbar is good. I have not yet heard a Samsung soundbar that I really liked. I would say the other brands that I would look at are Yamaha, Vizio, and Pioneer. Again, the Pioneer soundbar does not have 5.1. It only has 3.1, basically 3 channels in the front, no surround sound. Their latest one, they have a brand new one out now that does sort of do a simulated surround. Yamaha does that as well. That kind of tries to fake a surround sound field. Some of them work better than others. Yamaha's been doing it very well for a very long time, so they really know what they're doing. Pioneer has Andrew Jones, who is a great speaker designer, so I would definitely check that out as well. Thank you, Archandra. Thank you, Leo Laporte.
Thanks, Scott. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, home theater, digital photography, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. You can also use our website. And that's free, by the way. No sign up. I don't want your email. Keep it. TechGuyLabs.com. Back to the phones we go. And Bill in Boulder, Colorado. Hi, Bill.
Hello, Leo.
Welcome to the show. What can I do for you?
Well, here's my problem. I'm looking for a new laptop, and here's what I'm going to use it for. I have a real estate analysis business, so I live partly in the Microsoft Word and Excel world.
Okay.
But I also have been a serious amateur photographer for years, and I have a Nikon D300 that I shoot in RAW.
Nice.
And I'm starting to spend more time with that camera, messing around with it, and I'm thinking seriously. Right now, I've got a MacBook Pro, an old one, that I've been using Aperture to, mess around with files. But I don't like Aperture that well.
Well, good news. Apple's killed it, so
Well,
I wouldn't recommend it anymore anyway.
well, good. I've messed around a little bit with Photoshop on this Mac, but I'm thinking about Lightroom. A friend of mine has recommended it who's a retired professional photographer, and he said, for me, it's maybe a good option.
Almost all the photographers I know use Lightroom.
Okay.
Including me, by the way. So the way to go with Lightroom, you can buy it outright, but
Right.
Adobe wants everybody now to subscribe to their applications. There is a photographer's package. It's $10 a month, and you get Lightroom and Photoshop. And most serious photographers want both.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how serious you want to be. That's $120 a year. That's still less than buying Photoshop. Photoshop's much more expensive.
Yeah, and Lightroom, the separate one, is like at B&H is like $140 or something.
Yeah. It used to be on the App Store, the Mac App Store. I don't know if it is, and I thought it was less than that. But
for
Lightroom is definitely what you want. Lightroom is definitely what you want. It is. So Adobe, of course, kind of owns this whole segment now.
Yeah.
They make Photoshop, which is easily the king of not just photo editing, but just graphics, two-dimensional graphics in general. And for things like assembling panoramas or doing HDR, high dynamic range, for editing, taking people out of pictures, things like that, there's no equal to Photoshop. Although there's something close called Pixelmator that's a lot less expensive. The thing is, what Lightroom does is a little bit different. Lightroom is really about what photographers call workflow. The idea that let's say you go out, you take, you spend a day wandering around, you take 800 pictures, which sounds like a lot. It's not a lot for digital photography these days.
I know.
It's easy, and you do want to do that because you want to try a lot of different, things, and it's free. You don't have to pay for the developing and printing. So you take let's say you take 800 pictures, but the drawback to that is now you have 800 pictures, and you get home. So what you do is you import them immediately into Lightroom, and Lightroom has the ability to quickly go through them. Aperture did this too. It's very much like Aperture conceptually. Go through those, pick the ones you care about, either discard or set aside the rest, and then go in and modify or fix them. Now, since you work in RAW, you've got to use something.
Yeah.
Because you have to. RAW means you've got all the data from the sensor and you have to process it. Lightroom uses Adobe's Camera Raw processor, which many photographers think is the best. Apple has its own Camera Raw processing. That's what iPhoto and Aperture use. I think they're roughly equal. I don't think there's a huge difference.
Okay.
But that's just to give you the first pass. What you want to do is go in and work, correct white balance. You might want to do some subtle changes to the curves. You can, now in Lightroom, you can even do regional changes where you can say, I want to bring the sky up, but darken that guy's face, or vice versa.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff I want to do with sky and whatever. So
if you ever worked as a print photographer, you remember when you go in the darkroom, you would dodge and burn, and that was a way of lightening and darkening areas, and respectively. And you have that capability in Lightroom, plus a lot more. You could it will make. I often look at a picture and say, "Gee, that really should be black and white." Lightroom has excellent black and white processing, and then of course the other reason that you might want to use those is there are a variety of commercial plugins that are excellent that go even a step further. For instance, people who do a lot of black and white might use the NIK plugins. That's owned now by Google. For their silver plugin is incredible for black and white, creating amazingly rich Ansel Adams quality black and white photos. For instance,
that would interest me.
Yeah. So there are black and white filters already in Lightroom. They're quite good. They call them presets. You can download other people's presets as well. My friend Trey Ratcliffe, for instance, has an excellent set of presets that he uses. I generally will apply the same basic preset to all my photos and then go in and tweak them individually. And all of this is done what we call non-destructively in Lightroom. Lightroom allows you to go back to the original. You never lose that. I convert all my originals to Lightroom's own format, which is a raw format called DNG, digital negative format.
Okay.
And the DNG will store the original plus the modifications all in one file, so you never lose them. I mean, there's so many reasons pros use this. It's worth $170 to $150. I got the subscription. I think that having Photoshop, there are times when you would say, no, I'm going to need Photoshop to get that person out of that picture.
Yeah. So here's the last part of the question then. So I'm replacing a laptop. I'm probably moving out of the Apple operating system world. I use Windows for my business brain, and I've been using this MacBook Pro, but I'm looking for a new laptop, and I'm thinking about a Lenovo Yoga 3, Yoga 2.
They're great.
Is 8 gigs of RAM enough for the photography side of it?
Well, that's one area where you might want more.
Okay.
8's good, but 16 would be better. And the reason is, especially in Photoshop, you take the original, and how big is your original negative? If you're using RAW now, it's already, I don't remember on the Nikon, but it's already maybe 10 or 15 megabytes, right?
Yeah, 12.2.
Yeah. And then each layer is a duplicate. Every modification is a duplicate, all in RAM. So it very quick. These programs tend to use RAM very quickly.
Yeah.
But eight's I mean, look, 8's a lot.
I didn't look in depth at the Lenovo site. I didn't see 16 gigs as an option.
If they don't have it, I would say 8's fine.
Okay.
If they have it, those devices like that are typically you can't add more RAM. So I would get the RAM that you want if they've got it.
Okay. And then the Lenovo has this Intel Core M processor. Is that, compared to i7, is that a step up?
A step down, but that's okay.
But that, for what I'm doing, that's okay?
Yeah. I mean, all of these slower processors mean is things take a little longer. It's not that they don't work.
Yeah.
But you might apply an effect it really wouldn't change Lightroom. It might apply an effect in Photoshop, and you'd have to wait 10 seconds longer. Big deal.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
Big deal.
The screen, the resolution on the Yoga 3 screen looks pretty good.
Those are good screens. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm pointed in the right direction.
I think you're going to enjoy it. I appreciate the call, and keep up with the photography. I see so many people now who have other jobs. A good friend of mine who is a house painter, he just painted our house, got inspired, went out and got a good Canon camera, a really good Canon camera, and is taking now pictures of an amazing professional quality. And I think digital photography lets you develop faster because you can take more pictures, you can see the results more quickly, you can tune it, you can go out, shoot, come back, learn what you did wrong, go out the next day and do better. And so the learning cycle is so much faster. I'm seeing some amazing pictures these days. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our lovely show today brought to you by a lovely company that I have known for some time called Prosper.com. I really enjoy seeing how people have kind of reinvented. The internet has let people reinvent traditional businesses. And for the better, for consumer that benefit consumers. Prosper is a perfect example. It's an alternative to the big bank loan. Prosper lets you, basically brings together people with money to lend, with people to borrow. With Prosper, you could borrow as much as $35,000 and have it in as little as 3 days. Low fixed interest rates, no collateral, unsecured personal loans. I want you to go to prosper.com/twit, prosper.com/twit. And you can, right now, you can find out what your rate is. You don't have to give them a whole lot of personal information. It's a very simple form. It will not affect your credit score. You will get a fixed rate loan. No collateral required. Multi-year terms are available. There's no wonder that there are now more than 2 million members at prosper.com. Lenders and borrowers alike. They've got $1 billion, more than $1 billion in loans funded. Get your rate now at prosper.com/twit. What if you could get up to $35,000 in just 3 days? And by the way, if you do, we're giving Twit viewers a $50 Visa prepaid card when you get that loan. Prosper.com/twit. Special site just for you. Up to $35,000 in just 3 days and a $50 Visa prepaid card with your new loan. Go to prosper.com/twit. Really a great solution. A great way of, you never have to go to the bank. You do it all online. Really sweet. Prosper.com/twit. You know, I don't know, Dr. Mom. I don't know that much about their business. I think, a credit card is also an unsecured personal loan, right? I mean, I think there are ways to recoup nowadays. And sometimes people say, well, I see at the bottom there's a bank. The way the laws work, you have to have an accredited lending institution as the middleman, but that's really a formality. This Prosper is actually bringing together the lender and the buyer. I like them a lot. Aperture's plugins may or may not work depending on if they're adhere to the standard, which I can't. Is it VST? I can't remember. No, that's for sound. I can't remember what the standard is. Generally, what happens if you get a Nick plugin collection or somebody else you'll choose Aperture or Lightroom. But if sometimes I think Nick, if you have nowadays because Google owns them, if you have a license for one, I think you can get them either one. I get everything in Lightroom now. Usually when you buy plugins, you don't buy Lightroom or Aperture. You just buy the plugin and then you download the right one. So you should check with the plugins that you use. The plugins that come with Aperture, no. I don't think so. No, they won't. Okay. MW says no. And I guess they don't sell Lightroom anymore in the App Store. That's too bad. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're talking high tech, just talking digital photography, talking computers, the internet. Don't feel like, by the way, sometimes I know we have very high level questions, and I try to answer everything. But I really welcome the simple question where you feel like I should. Why am I asking this? I'll feel like an idiot. No, please ask that, because most people I think are listening and going, well, I can't ask that question. And I guarantee you, when you ask a question that you feel like that, oh, this is a dumb question, that's probably the largest number of people listening who will go, oh, thank goodness somebody asked. It's been driving me crazy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Joe is on the line, Los Angeles, California, listening to the great KFI. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Leo, my friend. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, and I'm glad I'm on your show.
I am, too, because otherwise this portion would just be dead air.
I know. Hey, listen, I'll tell you this up front. I am not tech savvy, so hopefully you'll be able to answer my question and explain it in a way that I can understand it.
I shall endeavor to use plain English as I speak.
Okay, thanks a lot. Listen, here's my situation. I recently purchased an iPhone and an iPad because I was going to move everything from my HP Microsoft into Apple.
Good.
But then there are programs through my employer that they don't support Apple, so I decided to keep my HP at home for business.
There you go.
And use my Apple iPhone and iPad.
There you go.
Here's my problem.
Yeah.
This is in terms of synchronization. I love the Outlook calendar as well as my contacts. But when I call Apple to get a good way to be able to support it or synchronize it, they tell me that they don't support Microsoft, so they can't help me.
Yeah, you have to go to Microsoft for that one. Here's the good news, by the way. Microsoft just updated Outlook for Mac.
Okay.
So you can actually now get an Outlook for the Macintosh. It's very similar. You have to be an Office. I presume if you're using Office on the PC, you're an Office 365 customer?
Yes.
Okay. So Outlook for the Mac is now available to you, and you can download it, put it on your Mac. Now you'll have it on the PC, you'll have it on the Mac. And
I don't have a Mac. I only have the iPhone.
Oh, iPhone and iPad, of course. Yeah.
Okay. And here's the situation. I was told that I needed to do it through the iTunes and tether my phone to it. But when I did that,
No.
it duplicated every contact, duplicated every note.
Yeah, but it'll only do that once. So that's nice. Isn't that special?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
synchronizing is so hard. You got to understand. So what are you using on the iPad for your calendar, for instance? Just using the iPad calendar?
The iPad calendar, and I was hoping it would be able to synchronize.
Well, but you must have entered your calendar twice, right? Once on the iPad, once on the PC.
Well, I entered it once, which it worked well. But then when I went to synchronize it again because of all the changes that I've made, then it duplicated everything.
Right. So sync is hard. Sync is hard, and this is it's a shame. Microsoft has not yet figured out how to do sync. Other companies have, but Outlook doesn't seem to do it very well. But it's always been a problem with sync, especially if you make changes in two locales, because it doesn't know which of the two is the right one, and it doesn't want to erase any changes you've made. So what it's doing is saying, well, I don't know, I'll keep both of them. That's not what you want.
No.
So my suggestion is, what you really want to do is have a master that is the in the computer world they use the word canonical, which is a ridiculous way to use that word, but that's what they do. That the master calendar, the master address book that is at all times the right one. And then everything syncs to that. The problem is what you're doing right now is you have two masters. You change one on the iPad, you change one on the Mac or the PC, and then you synchronize, and Outlook's going, well, I can't follow two masters, so I'll save them both. So here's what I think the easiest thing to do is to use Google as the intermediary. Synchronize your calendar, and because in both cases, now you have to download a third-party app now for Outlook because Google's discontinued their Outlook Sync program. But you can, for Windows, you can download, I think it's called G-Sync. On the Mac, I'm sorry, I keep saying Mac, iPad and iPhone, this is already built in. So you'll set up, if you don't already have a Google account, set up a Google account. Have the Macintosh synchronize with the Google Calendar. Now, you're going to have duplicates because you have duplicates on the the Apple synchronized the Google Calendar. You're going to have duplicates on your iPad and iPhone anyway. But what you want to do is go then, after you do this, into the Google Calendar, delete the duplicates, get it right. Same thing with the address book. Get it right on Google. Now, go into your Outlook for the PC and your calendar and contacts on the phone and the iPad and delete everything. This is a scary point. But remember, you've got the master on Google. Now, sync. And everything will stay in sync because the Google is the master. Any change you make on the iPhone or the iPad will be immediately copied to Google. And then when you sync on Outlook, it's not syncing with the iPhone and the iPad anymore. It's syncing with Google. And then by having this third party, this intermediary that is the master, everything will be fine. There'll be no more duplications. Now, before you do this, of course, you're going to want to back up one of them just so you have a good copy somewhere in case this goes horribly wrong and I don't want to hear from you. So back up your Outlook calendar, back up your Outlook phone book or on the iPad or the iPhone. It's easiest probably on Outlook. And then do this. Create a Google Calendar, empty. Create a Google contacts list, empty. Sync one and only one. Well, you can sync both. Sync them all if you want. But what you're going to then do is go into Google, clean it up, get rid of the duplicates, make it look perfect. Save it out from Google at that point. Now you have the perfect calendar, the perfect contact list. Delete everything elsewhere on your PC and on your iPad and on your iPhone. and then say to both the Outlook and to the iPad and the iPhone, please use the Google Calendar. I think that'll work great. And it eliminates the duplication because you have now a master. We need, if you only have two, this is weird. If only two things are synchronizing, they may not agree on who's in charge, in which case everything will be duplicated because we don't know. But if you have three, you can nominate one as definitive and tell the rest, no, I don't care what anybody else says. You do what the master says. And that, in this case, making Google the master has a lot of advantages. You do need to get a third-party app, as I said, for Windows. G-Sync is a very good one, and go from there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Is that okay, chat room? Did I give him the correct answer? I think that's how I do it. And it seems to me, it doesn't have to be Google, but by doing it on Google, then you have it in the cloud. You have it where everybody can get to it. Just seems better that way. I'm looking to see where my Pono is. Where is my Pono? Are they shipping them out? Yeah, I don't see. Well, you have to have a Google account. And if you don't want to have a Google account, then you can just figure it out, okay? You can just figure it all out. 50 pounds, Dr. Mom. Really? I don't know if I want to get in that situation. 50-pound weight loss. Let me talk to my boss. See what the boss says. I think she'll say no. I think my goal is to simply eat right and exercise daily and let the chips or pounds fall where they may.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Maybe I won't lose weight. I just want to be healthy. Just eat right, exercise. And I read a good article which said you should treat this like anything else. Learning to play the fiddle, learning how to ski. When you're learning a new behavior, you're going to flop. No one expects to play the fiddle perfectly. But what's different about weight loss is people tend to go, oh, I screwed up, and then that's it. You don't do that with the fiddle. Oh, I played the wrong note. I'll never play the fiddle again. No. You just learn from your mistake and you go on. So I like that. I like that idea. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, look who's here. The world traveler, peripatetic Johnny Jet. Hey, Johnny.
Hello, Leo.
We've been trying to guess where you are. It looks fairly opulent.
I am at a very nice resort. It's called Terranea.
Terranea.
And I'm in Palos Verdes, California.
What? You're in the States. It looked like I thought, oh my, you're in Hawaii, you're in Fiji, you're in the Maldives, you're in Southern California.
Yep.
How nice. Are you having
Not
fun?
too shabby. I have a great time. My wife's here.
Nice.
And
nice.
yeah, it's a great time.
Nice.
But so
Johnny is our expert on traveling better through technology.
Yes.
And he
so
joins
last
us
week we
every
left
week.
off about car rentals. I told you I'd give you some car rental sites because you asked me. You said you got ripped off. I don't know where were you?
Well, not ripped off, but it ended up being like $250 a day, which seems like a lot.
Oh, was it Austin? Was it? Where was it?
Austin. And it was a big national chain with a name that implies it's going to be less expensive, if you know what I mean.
Well, I do know what you mean.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple it could be. But anyway, what is the trick?
So first of all, when I travel, I try not to rent a car.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of public transportation. I don't want to deal with parking. I don't want to.
I agree. I don't
want to deal with traffic. So I usually will try and get on public transportation.
Yeah. Well, I always do a calculus when I'm making a trip. how much the cab will cost from the airport, or sometimes mass transit from the airport's okay, but like in New York, you have to change trains and stuff. And I got big luggage, so I always have to try to figure that out.
That's why you got to pack light, which I talk about all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
So when I do rent a car, this is what I usually do. I actually go the old-fashioned way, which is I go to biddingfortravel.com.
Biddingfortravel.com.
I look at the message board. You got to scroll all the way down to rent-a-cars, which is towards the bottom. You hit the city that you want to rent a car in, and you see what other people have been getting when they put bids on Priceline.
This doesn't sound like the old-fashioned way, but okay. This is how far in the future Johnny Jet lives. He thinks this is old-fashioned. All right, biddingfortravel.com.
So you go all the way down.
All the way down is rental cars. I see here. Yep.
And then you hit the city. So let's say Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then you can, or San Francisco, whatever you're
and
familiar
people
with,
are reporting in here on what they're getting. $16 a day.
So I first learned about it, years ago. But I remember I was trying to rent a car to go in Seattle. And Hertz was pricing me out at $88 a day. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm not spending $88 a day.
Yeah.
So then I went on to Bidding for Travel. I saw that someone had it for like $19. So I said, all right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to put it. Then I went to Expedia.com, not Expedia, sorry, Priceline.com. Put in my $19 bid. Priceline said, oh no, you're not going to get accepted. Don't do it. But I knew that other people were getting it for around the same time, so I put it in, and sure enough, I got it. And guess which company?
Which company?
Hertz. Same company. So company trying to charge me $88.
It's gotten to be the same as air travel, which is they're using computers, and there's all sorts of different prices. There's not just one price anymore.
Right, but there are all kinds of restrictions when you use this, by the way. So you can't cancel. It's non-refundable. You're not going to earn your mileage, and it's one-way rentals. Not one-way. You have to return to the same place. You can't do like a drop-off somewhere else. And if you decide to stay extra, like another day or two, they're going to charge you up the wazoo. Like I think around $90. So you
they got ways of making their money back. Yeah.
But if you know the exact dates, you're definitely going to travel. This is a great way to do it.
Priceline, you're saying, is the way to go, or it vary?
I would put a bid in. Depends where you are.
Okay. So I'm going to put in a bid. I'm going to say I want a mid-sized car, and I'm willing to pay. What should my bid be? I never know how to do this.
I would put $19 because they're going to charge some fees.
$19 a day. Let's see if I can get in Austin. It says
they say try bidding 45. They say forget it. You put in 19. But the problem is you're not going to be able to know because you have to put your credit card info in.
It says your price of $90 a day has a low chance of being accepted.
But you still put it in.
So keep doing it?
Well, no, because you haven't bid yet. When you bid, you have to put in your credit card information. And once it's accepted, you're charged. You can't cancel.
See, I'm looking at this, and these guys, it seems like they almost even know they're colluding together because the prices are within $5 of each other.
That's why I said go to Bidding for Travel first, because it's a message board where people tell people what they got, what dates, and what kind of car, and even which company it came from. But you're not going to be able to pick which company and things like that.
Right. So Bidding for Travel isn't always going to point you to Priceline. It might point you elsewhere.
No, they're.
It's about Priceline.
It's about Priceline.
So what you do is you go there and you look at what your bid should be. In other words,
that's exactly it.
I get it.
So you go there.
So
first,
they said 19. They said 13 on here, but that was like in the summertime. Nobody goes to Austin in the summertime.
So it depends what exactly.
So you're saying I should? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm such a slow learner here.
That's okay.
I am looking at Priceline, and I should ignore their urging to bid $45.
Exactly. That's like their scare tactic. It's like when you go rent a car at the airport or whatever, and they're at the counter, and they're like, "You really need to get the insurance," which you're already covered if you're using.
I never get the insurance.
A credit card.
Yeah.
But they're going to pressure you because they make, those guys make a good commission on it.
But you do have to, if you now bid with that the $19 price, you're going to give them a credit card, and you're going to be committed, right?
Yes, you'll be committed. And they will charge extra, like, taxes and fees. So, depends how long you're going to rent it for, but it could be another
This is a good tip. So Priceline is trying to get you to bid higher, but you say no. No, I'm going to stick by because I know, because I looked at Bidding for Travel first, that I could get it for 13.
Yes, and if you're really if you really want to take a chance, there's a company called flightcar.com, which we talked about when they first launched. They were only in San Francisco. Now they're in 5 different cities: Newark, Boston, San Francisco, LA. Maybe Seattle might be the other one. But this is where you rent other people's cars. So you can either
really?
So you can, and they charge $15 a day a lot of the time. If you're in one of those cities, they'll pick you up. It's a great social economy.
Flight car, but you might get a beater. You might not.
You'll know what you'll
know what you're going to get.
What kind of car. They'll tell you what kind of car you're going to get. Okay. You can choose.
Okay.
And you can even rent your car. If let's say you're going to the airport and you want free parking.
Yeah.
You can go drop your car off, and someone else might rent it.
No.
But even if they
you don't have to do that if you're going to use this, do you?
Even if they don't, you can you'll still make money. They pay you.
I don't want anybody driving my car. They'll leave McDonald's wrappers in the back seat or something. It'll smell like French fries when I get it back.
But supposedly they insure every car up to $1 million.
Do they insure it against French fry smell?
Well, that I don't know.
No, they don't. JohnnyJet.com. This is a great website. This is the one you really need to know. Johnny's full of good stuff like this. You can also follow him on Twitter at JohnnyJet or on Instagram. Great images always of the places he's visiting. And he has a newsletter, which is free, which you should sign up for because that has travel deals. This guy gets up in the middle of the night doing travel deals.
There's a really good. I sent one out today because there was $1,500 business class tickets from the West Coast to Europe. Business class for the summer.
West Coast to Europe. Wow. That's a good deal. That's a steal. There
was a deal for $676, I think, round trip from Philadelphia to Bali today.
I'm on my way.
$676. I mean, that's insane. Round trip.
Did you see that both JetBlue and Virgin, I think Virgin America, are now offering new nonstops to New York? Yes. This Mint service. Sometime I want you to tell me about Mint.
That's San Francisco, New York, and San Francisco, LA.
Yeah.
It's their first class version.
You'll have to tell me about it. It's cheap-ish. JohnnyJet.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So my regards to Natalie. You sounds like you're having fun. You're just staying at a resort in your own neck of the woods. I know she's napping over there.
She's right there.
She seems to nap every time you're doing the show.
She's not napping. She's working from the bed.
She's working. Pinterest. She's got a bolster protecting her to keep her from rolling out of bed. Awesome, Johnny. Awesome. And we're working on the show, I guess.
I had a call with Sarah.
Good. We just have to get it so, we're going to have it so you can come and do 10 shows or whatever, so it fits your schedule. And
I still like doing it live from wherever I am, but
I like that idea too. We could do that. I'm not against that.
If it's a travel show, I think it should be.
You should be wherever you are. Good idea.
Yeah,
you're right.
So,
you're right. All right.
And talk about what's hot in the industry or what's
that's why we
on.
have a local host. That's perfect. She'll always be here. That's good.
That's what I think.
I think you're right, John. All right, we'll talk next week.
All right.
See ya. So the folks at Twit had a little Halloween shindig yesterday, I hear. I think I saw it on Facebook. Let's see what's on Facebook. I just do this to keep up with... Jason. There you go. So here's Patrick Delahanty with his friends from Mystery Science Theater. That's 3,000. That's good. Gizmonics. Where did he get the robots? That is really awesome. And then I think... Giants! There's our pictures. Let's see. Heather Hammond, you were a scary police officer. Whoa. Not gonna mess with you. There's Carly. There we go. That's the picture I was going for. So we got Patrick. We got Brian. Both... That's cool. Both Brian and Alex are from Star Trek. I don't know who's the angry bird. Is that Chad? Who's the angry bird? There's Carly. There's
Alex
Jason.
said it was Zach.
Oh, Zach is the angry bird. Okay. Oh, yeah, it says right here in the... And there's Crow. Crow T Robot. I don't know. Who's in the... Oh, that's Victor. Victor's an alligator. They tagged him, so you should just hover over that. Tom Servo and Crow T Robot. And Jason. Jason had a better costume when they went trick-or-treating with his kids. He was Daddy Warbucks.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I should see if I could find that. It's really cute. And his kid was Annie.
Oh, how cute.
In the name of love, Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 88 asked Leo, you two apologized for sneaking an album onto our devices. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know if it's U2's fault. U2 made a deal with Apple. You may remember that Apple announced this in September that they were going to give away their new album for free to everybody who had an iTunes account, who had an iPhone or an iPad or a Macintosh. Nice. But instead of using, Apple has a mechanism where you click a button and claim your free, because they have free tracks every week. So they have a mechanism where you click a button and you claim your free track. They decided not to use that. I think that maybe you can kind of blame Apple for this. Instead, they just put the album into everybody's iTunes account. Like, you got it. It's yours. The only issue with that is, you can't get rid of it. There's no... Apple had to put up a page with a little button you could push to get rid of it, because once something's added to your iTunes account, you can't just kind of get rid of it. And then the other problem was that many of us have turned on auto download on our devices. Whenever I buy a new album, I want to download it automatically. That's because we don't buy all that many new albums, and every once in a while so the problem, of course, is it uses bandwidth. And it uses up storage space. And maybe you didn't really want that U2 album, but you got it anyway. And it wasn't easy to get rid of it. As I said, Apple had to publish a page to get rid of it. So Bono apologized last week. He said, he said it was a mixture of excitement over our album and egotism. We thought everybody would want it. Didn't stop YouTube from claiming 27 million album sales. Now, I'll have to look at their previous album sales, but I don't think any album they've ever released has had anywhere near that number of purchases. So maybe there was a little, ulterior motive to doing it this way. Yeah, 27 million people bought our album. No, we didn't. Anyway, they apologized. They sold the rights to do that, by the way, to Apple, because they gave away the album. So Apple had to pay them something. It was a good deal. $100 million, that's all. $100 million, that's all. Nice work if you can get it. Pete's on the line, Brooklyn, New York. Hey, Pete.
How are you, Leo?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, buddy. Thank you.
What's up?
I have a question, Leo. I have a Mac Pro, the 2013.
Yep.
And I think the chat room answered my question last week about this, but I have a new question.
Okay.
I wanted to try and run the Mac Pro through the 5K iMac.
Can't.
Well, you can, right? I know. What about mounting it? I seen somewhere that they actually, after I purchased it, the one that, the normal one with the stand, they actually sell two models, one with the stand and then one with the mount.
Right.
Is there any way that you can mount the one with the stand, or am I...
Well, you need a VESA mount. VESA, that's kind of the standard for mounting. And there are a lot of companies, like we use Ergotron arms, that have on the arm the VESA mount so that it can just mate to the iMac and hold it. If you don't buy it that way, then you're going to have to do some sort of jerry-rigging to get the arm to hold. I mean, you could put it on a shelf. But if you want an arm that swings out, boy, I would just, if you just got it, you should be able to return it and say, oh, I blew it. I wanted the VESA mount. I don't know if there's a restocking fee or not. But that's the way to do it. It's much easier if you use the VESA mount, because remember, it's not merely the Mac. You got to mount it to something. And
Well, I don't mind using the mount, but can you actually take the stand off of the new one?
no, but it doesn't give you a Visa mount just to take the stand off. You understand? It's not just the stand is gone. There is some hardware on the mount on the Mac that will let you mount it. I'm sure you could take. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could take the stand off. I've never tried it. They do have arms that will hold the stand. So that's like I said, it's jerry rigging. It's not as wonderful as a Visa mount. Yeah, by the way, I mean, this is something you should know. You should be careful with. For instance, you want to make sure that you're not just screwing the mount into the arm into drywall. You got to hit a stud. You got to have it well supported because this Mac is not light. You don't want it to pull out of the wall. I think that if you take the back off, well, first of all, I would try to get an official Visa mount on it. So I would bring it to Apple and say, hey, can I trade this in? But failing that, by the way, the reason you can't, we did buy a 5K iMac, and it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, really easy to read, really crisp screen, and for $2,500, a little pricey, but given that you're getting a 5K monitor, Dell's selling a 5K monitor without a computer for the same price, $2,500. So it works very well. I was a little worried about speediness, given it's moving 14.7 megapixels, or that's a lot of screen real estate. And the reason that works is because the computer is connected to the monitor, and they can have a direct connect. They don't have to go through a Thunderbolt cable or a DisplayPort cable to get to the monitor. And so they have more bandwidth. They have a custom proprietary system that gives them more bandwidth. They even designed some chips so that this would all work. And that's the reason you can't connect a 5K iMac to your Mac Pro, even though you have a Thunderbolt monitor, a Thunderbolt cable from the Mac Pro. It's not enough. There's not enough bandwidth to drive the 5K. Isn't that sad? But it's just something Apple could do because they have an all-in-one computer, and it makes a lot of sense. So, it makes me nervous to hang your Mac on a wall. If you could trade for the Visa mount, I would. If you can't, there are arms apparently that will kind of clamp onto the stand. I don't think you want to remove the stand because that's the thing that you could hold. Unless, I guess you could have something like a frame that would hold the four corners. I don't know. That's going to be a project. You got to be Peter. You got to be a civil engineer to build this sucker. Good luck to you, though. Tim in Niagara Falls. Hi, Tim. We might have to take a break, but we'll get you started anyway. What can I do for you?
Hey, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Yeah, my brother is hard of hearing, and he currently uses a CapTel service that over his landline. And what they do is there's a service. I guess in each state has it. They convert what
they type it.
A human-like guy says.
A human types it. Yeah, a teletype service. Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to get him into in the real world. I want to get him a cell phone, and I was wondering if you or your chat room or anybody has any recommendation for a type of phone to use and or service.
It's the same as TTY service, right? So I'm wondering, I'll have to do some research to see if there's a TTY cell phone. I think there are, actually. Yeah. We'll have it for you when we get back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So that's what you need to search for, is a cell phone with TTI mode. You can go to, I'm at an AT&T site, and as an example, and you'd want to go to your carrier to make sure that they have a list of stuff that they sell. But if they're on AT&T, here are phones that will work. I note that are any of these smartphones? Boy, it sure doesn't look like it. Yeah. Oh, there's an iPhone. This must be an old list. I see. This will connect the iPhone via proprietary plug to a TTY terminal. Well, I guess. See, what you'd love is, I mean, boy, that's bizarre. Why wouldn't a smartphone, given it has a screen? Let me search for TTY smartphone. Okay, so some Droids do. Looks like Blackberries. Or what you'd really like is an app, wouldn't it? I mean, why don't you just have an app that you run on the smartphone? Could you do that? I hope James DeRuvo is capturing all these wonderful links from our chat room. We'll put them in the show notes. Text accessibility plan. Ah, here we go. So if you have a smartphone, does it send it as text messages? It does. That's really interesting. So essentially, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I do not know how it works. So they have a plan for it. So AT&T calls it TAP, Text Accessibility Plan. The generic notion is TTY. So, okay, iPhone does TTY, says Regatta. Ah, this is cool. So it's built into the iPhone. Go to Settings, Phone, turn on TTY, and then what will it do? It will show you. Will it show you the text on the screen? Let me look at this up. That's awesome. iPhone TTY mode. Oh, then you have to use a TTY machine. That's different. I would want it to be on the screen. I don't see why you would need a separate machine. Yeah. Yeah, so that means it just works with a TTY machine. Whoops. My goodness gracious, I've gone too far. You can use the iPhone TTY adapter cable to connect to a TTY machine. Is that preferable? Here we go. Thank you, Spider. Spider has given me a link. Yeah, Purple Communications, clear captions. Works together with your phone. That's with a computer. Yeah, none of those are exactly it. Yeah, I don't know what I should say about setting the clocks back. I guess we could talk a little bit about that. Good article in the National Geographic a couple of years ago about why we should just get rid of the whole dang thing. It's exactly a year ago. Time to move on. The case against daylight saving time. It saves us neither energy nor money. You know who likes daylight saving time? Gas stations. Because the more daylight there is, the more likely we are to drive around. And so gas sales go up in the summertime. Farmers were the only organized lobby against daylight saving time. Only 37% of Americans surveyed thought DST is worth the hassle. There's a book called Spring Forward, The Annual Madness of Daylight Saving Time. Zero energy savings. I can explain why that is. And it's risky. Your chance of heart attack surges 10% on the Monday and Tuesday after moving the clocks ahead each spring. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Right before the end of the hour, last hour, we had a caller looking for smartphones that support TTY. Good news, many do, most do. Apple, all the Apple iPhones do, but they are set up to be connected to an external TTY device, a screen and a typewriter. And I think for a lot of people who are deaf or have poor hearing, text messaging and emails maybe make that less important, right? There are still TTY operators. We have a lot of links. We put them in the show notes thanks to our chat room. We came up with a lot of articles. And I refer you to techguylabs.com for a variety of solutions. And a great many modern phones will support a connection to a TTY device. That is not uncommon. It seems to me, though, a smartphone, you should just be able to, you're in a call, type yourself. It seems like you wouldn't need a separate device. You'd see the screen. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen tonight. In the United States, on the 2 a.m., November 2nd, we are all going to set our clocks forward an hour, spring forward, fall back. We're going to set it back an hour. See, there's the problem right there. Heralding the end of daylight saving time. Can we just end it permanently? Can we just stop the madness? This is a relatively new thing. People often say, well, Ben Franklin invented this. He was joking. It really only became commonplace in the U.S. During World War II. It does not save energy. This is a surprise. That's what everybody's, touts as the chief feature of daylight saving time. It doesn't save energy because, you turn your lights on less, but you turn your air conditioner on more, because you're up during the hotter hours. So it's a push. And when we know this, because there are places like Indiana where parts of the state adopted it, parts didn't, and then parts took it up later. And you can look at the energy change, and it is nil. So there you go. It doesn't save energy. It is hazardous to your health. People's attention falters, mostly in the spring. Not so much. We're going to get an extra hour of sleep tonight, so it's not really now. But let's stop it now so that when springtime comes around, you have a 10% higher chance of a heart attack on the Monday or Tuesday after you spring forward. Far greater chance of having a motor accident because you're groggy. Why do we do it to ourselves? You know who wants it? Not farmers. In fact, it was farmers that organized the only lobby against daylight saving time. They don't want it. It's not so they can get up early and milk the cow. You know who wants it? The gasoline industry. Because we drive more with more daylight hours, so they sell more gas. The golf industry. The golf industry estimated in the mid-1980s that an extra month of daylight savings time was worth $200 to $400 million because they make more money in golfing. The barbecue industry. More daylight hours in the evening means more likely you'll barbecue. That's $150 million a month. It's not for farmers. It's bad for our health. It doesn't save energy. In fact, uses more gasoline. All it's good for is convenience stores, barbecue sales, and golf sales. Can we just stop the madness? Let's just, one more time, everybody, fall back tonight and then stop. Is that going to happen? Never. It's crazy. Crazy. Great article last year in the National Geographic. You trust them. Talking about all of the issues and debunking the myths about daylight saving time. It's called, you can Google it, Time to Move On, ? The Case Against Daylight Saving Time. Came out exactly a year ago. There's even a book. A professor at Tufts University, Michael Downing, wrote a book called Spring Forward, The Annual Madness of Daylight Saving Time. Look, I'm happy to get an extra hour tomorrow. I am. And I tell you all this, make sure now with computers and smartphones, most of our devices will adjust properly. Although older devices, remember, we keep changing the dates. So I think we are one of the last countries now to fall back. So, for instance, I have a clock here that's, radio clock, atomic clock that sets itself to the atomic time in Colorado. Well, this clock, I have to put it on mountain time for a few weeks each year because it doesn't understand that we've changed the day. Clock, don't you know we changed the law? Nobody got time for daylight saving time. Let's dump it. Why give yourself jet lag unnecessarily? It's good for golfers. It's good for barbecuers. It's good for your gas station. But it's bad for your health. Isn't that interesting? George is on the line from Toronto, Canada. Hi, George. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you? I love your network and everything you do for all of us. I'm just calling because I heard one of your listeners talking about wireless HDMI transmitting. I'm a system integrator, and I specialize in hiding all the components in a different area of the home, even though you couldn't figure out why anyone would want to do that.
Well, because, we're embarrassed that we watch a lot of TV, probably. So, yeah, it was Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, was talking about wireless HDMI solutions, the idea being you can put all your gear in one spot and not have a bunch of wires going to your television set. My experience with wireless HDMI has been very poor, but you're doing it day in, day out now. So tell me what works.
The product that actually works the best, probably because it runs at a frequency that no one really uses, is a company who used to do those video scalers, DVDO.
Yeah.
And that company has a phenomenal product that does wireless HDMI with full support all the way up with 7.1 audio.
And what frequency is this? The 60 gigahertz solution?
This is at 60 hertz. That's correct. But it's just the way they build their stuff. The company has a good reputation with video scalers.
Does it work through walls? Because when you get to that frequency, it's going to bounce off walls because it's microwave.
Correct. The other products like that try to do it at the 2.4 gigahertz always have a problem, especially if you turn on the microwave. Our main solution for someone who wants to hide the equipment is either to do it through a Cat5 or Cat6 wire.
Yeah, that's a wired solution, which we like. That's using balance.
Correct, or you can use video modulators, digital ones.
Same thing.
Really expensive.
Yeah.
And that's the best option. But when you don't have a solution, that one brand works phenomenal. And then there's another one I can't pronounce.
What distance does it work well at?
about 50 feet is where you won't have an issue.
So you don't want to go more than 50 feet. And how does it do going through walls?
With our experience with using the products, we've really never encountered any issues, unlike other products, even running at 60 hertz. So I don't know what kind of voodoo they got going on there.
It's DVR deal, is that it?
No, DVDO. They do.
Spell it for me. Spell it.
DVDO.
DVDO. All right, Video Connectivity Solutions, DVDO.com. All right. Hey, I appreciate the call. You know what I'll do? I've had such poor success with this solution. I'm going to try these. These are the 60 gigahertz adapters. I would think they wouldn't go well through walls, but let me try it, and I'll get back to you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Everybody says, because everybody's a know-it-all, yes, this is set to mountain time, so I'm going to set it to PST. And then what should I do with DST? Should I turn it on or off? Let's take a look here. Let's see. Is it 12:16? No, it's not. Let's push that DST button again. How about that? That'll fix it. No. Press and hold it. There we go. So leave it like that, huh? Oh, that's because we're in daylight savings time. Look at that. And then tomorrow, I'll push it again. Okay, good. Thank you. You did fix it. I take it back. You are not know-it-alls. But what I would like to do, I guess we can leave it on 24-hour clock. All right. Putting it back. I don't think there are firmware updates for these clocks. So tomorrow I shall push the button. So Mountain Time was a hack. I just assumed it was because they don't make these anymore. I just assumed it was because does not WWV give you time in a UTC format? It doesn't do, or maybe it does. I shouldn't adjust for daylight saving time. Let's visit WWV and see. It's in Fort Collins, right? I would guess would not be doing. I wonder if I could listen to it on the web. It would be cool if I could listen to it on the web. The official U.S. time, it must be, see, it is adjusting it. But what does it send? God, this hasn't been updated in ages. Yes, that's right. That's what I thought Scotland calling. But so the WWVB signal tells the clock when DST is. So it includes this. So the clock would not have to know when the DST fallback is. What? Bad girls, talking about the bad girls. Aww. Tweet, tweet. Popcorn. Yeah, remember popcorn? 767. Didn't matter what the last four digits were. It'd be fun if we could just ignore daylight saving time and just let's set our clocks forward tomorrow and then never change them again.
I would do it. So what time should we
We'd have to get everybody to do it, though. We'd have to get all there's 200 radio stations. We'd have to get all to agree. Otherwise, they'd be very confused. See, I think it needs to be a law. There ought to be a law. Somebody in the chat room said we should just all be Mountain Time. Obviously, you live in Mountain Time. Rob's on the line from Tarzana, California. Our next caller. Hi, Rob.
Hello, Leo.
Hello.
Good afternoon. You're my last resort.
Oh, no.
Oh, if I don't solve this couple-month-old problem, my PC's going out the window.
Oh, my goodness. Let's see if we can save its life.
Yes. My problem is occurring on a Dell PC with a 6-core Studio Phenom and 6 gigabytes of memory. I'm using Outlook Exchange 2010, and I've got Windows 7 Pro 64 and Pro and with 64 bits installed. Outlook displays both my Exchange accounts and a couple of Gmail accounts, and my PC hangs or stalls a couple of times an hour only when Outlook is open. There's no problem when Outlook is closed. And when it hangs, the mouse cursor works, but the display is non-responsive.
It's thinking.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's deciding
thinking.
what it wants to do, yeah.
And it doesn't do this unless Outlook's open.
Correct.
One more reason I hate Outlook, and I have plenty of reasons, but that's just one more. I've never heard of that one, but that's just one more reason to hate Outlook. It's just a terrible program.
It's frustrating, and I'm trying to figure out maybe an alternative to Outlook that's as powerful, and the only thing I can come up with is maybe, the Mozilla, not Firefox, what is it?
Thunderbird.
Thunderbird, yeah.
So
anyway,
you said you're getting your email from an Exchange server?
Yes, I am. And
is your company's Exchange server or?
No, it was SureWeb.
So you pay for an Exchange service?
Yes, and it's run very well for a long time, and it runs great on my other computer.
Yeah.
And I've tried several remedies that I've learned about on the internet. I've run Outlook in safe mode. I've turned on and off. I've turned off all the add-ins on Outlook.
Right.
I've disabled Nod 32. And I've deleted all my OST and PST files and downloaded replacement sets.
And none of that fixed it?
Nope.
All right.
So
what we want to do is we want to look at the connection as it's happening. I can't remember, does Outlook have a connection? I think it does. I seem to remember it does a connections window that you can actually see the connection going on.
Yes, it pops up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it open if you can and watch, because what we'd like to do is figure out if it's related to Outlook getting the mail. In other words, I'd like to see if, we know it's because Outlook's running, but is it because Outlook's getting the mail? Is that what's going on?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So first let's figure that out. If it is, well, then now we know that Outlook is busying the entire computer. And I would guess that's what it is, that it's Outlook. But now Outlook shouldn't be, but Outlook is going out to those Exchange servers and waiting. So you might change the polling times to see if that changes how often it hangs. Outlook also goes through the messages and indexes them, and I would have said that's a problem, except you said you've started with empty PST files.
Yes.
So that's not going to take. That would dramatically change the length of time needed to index those.
I tried this also with my technical support guy. I've got a guy that does some work for me. He seems very skilled and highly professional, highly skilled. And he actually was trying to see how many of my system resources were being used when this happened. And he seemed to think there wasn't much happening. There wasn't much memory.
Yeah, you can look. You can run System Monitor and see CPU, RAM usage, disk I/O, and he says nothing's happening.
No, not much. He says they're certainly not overtaxing the system.
You got me. You've done all the things I would have recommended. I'd like to figure out what is exactly going on when you see these slowdowns. That's why if you keep the connection monitor open and maybe even keep the system resource meters open and watch for these moments when it's really not responsive. and see what's going on. I mean, obviously, the next step is to uninstall and reinstall Office, to uninstall and reinstall Windows. I would do those things before you throw the computer out the window.
Okay.
It's an odd thing. For instance, turn off your Exchange download for a little while just to see.
Turn off what?
The connection to the Exchange.
Oh, okay.
Just get your other mail. It sounds like you're getting mail from several different accounts.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, try turning off the Exchange and see.
Yeah, Exchange is a nightmare. And if Exchange is misconfigured, I think it could conceivably be doing this. So just don't get mail from Exchange for 6 hours and see if you get the same problem.
Is there another? That's a great idea. But is there an alternative program that's as robust or nearly as robust as Outlook that I can use on the cloud?
Part of the problem but the problem with Outlook is it does not just mail, but calendar, address book, and a lot of people need that. It does appointments, and a lot of people, if you're using Outlook in an enterprise and everybody expects you're using Outlook, that kind of forces you to continue to use Outlook. If you don't care about those things, I mean, certainly, I think it's a good idea to decouple your calendar and your address book from your email program. I don't like the idea of putting it all in one big mush.
I agree.
And I really don't like the idea of putting it all in one big PST file. That's a big problem.
I agree.
Those should be separate. So, well, yeah, there are lots of ways to do this. In fact, you could do all of the same things with Google's built-in Gmail. Gmail can go out and get mail from other servers, including Exchange servers. So you could collate it all in a Gmail inbox. And by the way, then all of that's happening on Gmail's servers, not slowing down your computer.
And if I have a bunch of folders where I'm sorting everything, will Gmail do that as well?
Oh, that's interesting. You didn't tell me that part. So you have a lot of filters in Outlook?
Not a lot. No, I've just got folders, and one of the things that I was asked to check is to make sure none of these folders were too large, and they're not.
Yeah. Once that's that overblown PST file, which can happen.
Exactly.
But yeah, I would, if you have a lot of post processing when the mail comes in, parsing it out into folders, that could also be a problem.
Oh no, they all come to one place. I sort them out.
Oh, you do it by manually.
Yes. Yes.
I think that first thing to do is all troubleshooting involves testing kind of breaking it down into the different things that are happening and seeing if it goes away. So turning off the Exchange servers, for instance, would be a great troubleshooting step. Looking at the connection, looking at resource monitors during these moments to try to figure out what is something's using up your computer's brains. And that's what we want to figure out. What is using up the brains, and then we can find a workaround. You've probably already done the compact and repair in Outlook.
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
That's the first thing you probably did.
Yeah.
So you do all of these things. You do the easiest ones first until you eliminate all the possibilities. And as Sherlock Holmes says, once you eliminate all the possibilities, whatever remains, however unlikely, is the murderer. No, that's the wrong solution. And yes, Google would give you all of these facilities and not tax your computer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I think the hosted Exchange is the problem. My gut tells me that's the problem. He eliminated the PST file. He erased it and started from scratch. He's done all the right things. He's been actually getting good support. Outlook is the problem. Outlook is horrific. I hate Outlook. And somebody said in the chat room, it's true. Notice how many Outlook calls we've been getting in the last few weeks? I don't know why. And yeah, SureWeb could you could call SureWeb and tell them about this too. Chat rooms, you guys are going through all the things, many of which he's already tried. Colonel Mustard in the kitchen with the lead pipe. Yeah, I think it is Outlook hanging up on a hosted Exchange server. I think that's exactly right. And Outlook is then hanging everything else up because it's such a poorly written program. Well, the problem, lots of people use Outlook, unfortunately. And occasionally I will get, like a Premier did this. They just assume you're using Outlook, so they'll send me calendar invites via Outlook. And it's not the standard anymore. And I had to say, not everybody uses Office. I don't. Can you please just use a standard calendar system? That's when Microsoft said, hey, we've updated Outlook for the Mac. I said, so that's nice. Never mind. The lead pipes in the old Clue were actually made out of lead. They bent. I doubt they do that anymore.
Because we know children like to eat game pieces.
They actually shipped an actual lead pipe. That is so funny. That's how old that game is. I have not only tried Google Inbox High Five, I am its number one proponent. It changed my life. I love Google Inbox. Moving on to Clinton in Portsmouth, Virginia. Hey, Clinton.
How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Average.
Average. That's good.
Yeah.
That's not neither too good nor too bad. Just right in the middle there.
Yeah. I was going to upgrade my iPod to a Galaxy 3 Note.
Okay.
Just wondering if the sound is just as good.
Yeah, it's just as good. In fact, one of the things I think they still did on the Note 3, they don't do it on the Note 4 anymore, but on the original Note 3, they have a nice little sound tester that you can actually put your headphones in and run through it, and it will adjust the sound to fit your hearing. And I loved that feature. And so, yes, in fact, I would say it's even better than the iPod. The only thing you'll notice, of course, is there's a different, it's a phone, for one thing, and this amount of storage is different. I'm not sure how big your iPod was. If you had an iPod Classic, that's 160 gigabytes. You'd be hard pressed to get anything that big. You can put an SD card in there though, and put all your music on that. That's what I do. So I think the top that the Note 3 could handle was 64 gigs. That's a lot of music. Yeah, that's why nobody's buying iPods. That's why Apple discontinued the iPod Classic, because a smartphone's a great player. In fact, many of the new smartphones can even play back these new high-res audio files, the HD track stuff, and give you even better sound than an iPod can. So, yes, do it. Do it, Clinton. Robert in Las Vegas, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I got a MacBook Pro, and I want to upgrade the hard drive to a solid-state hard drive.
Yeah.
And, well, the hardware is not so much the question, but the software. How do I create either a bootable USB or something that I can clone my hard drive into the new one?
Easy. Just get a USB drive and then a program called Super Duper. And it'll make a bootable external drive out of your internal drive that's exactly identical. And should the surgery fail, you can always boot up from the external drive and be just the way you were.
Oh, so either I can have an external hard drive or a stick, a USB stick?
You could use a USB stick if it's big enough, you bet, and you can boot from it. Super Duper will make an identical copy, a bootable copy of your internal drive. And you're absolutely right, you should do this. By the way, I did the same thing. I would recommend a company called Otherworld Computing. They specialize in Macintosh hardware. They have SSDs for MacBook Pros, and they have videos, and they send you the tools and everything you need because there's some special screwdrivers. It comes with that. I was really happy with that upgrade. Their web address is maxsales.com, and they are not an advertiser. They give me no money, nor hardware, nor stuff. I paid full price, but I'm a happy customer, so I'm happy to recommend them. maxsales.com. And they'll tell you the whole process, including making a backup using Super Duper so you have a bootable copy of your drive. You can then use Super Duper, by the way, to restore it onto the new drive and be right back where you were. So there you go. It's a magic. Don's in Mojave Valley, Arizona. Hi, Don. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, have you checked out the new Roku stick?
I have one. So, and Amazon now has one. The idea is these are basically Roku boxes, or in the case of Amazon, the Amazon Fire TV, in something a little bit larger than a USB stick. And instead of a USB connector, it has an HDMI connector on it. So the idea is you just plug it into the back of your TV, and now you've given your TV internet access and all the capabilities of Roku. Now, the stick I had crashed periodically. I don't know if that's because they get hot there's no fan or anything, and they can get pretty warm. But I've also found Roku sometimes crashes on me, so that wasn't too big a surprise. But it does work, and it works great, and it does save space. No wires or anything. It's powered from the TV. You do have to have, and this is the one thing to keep in mind, for the Roku stick anyway, an MHL HDMI port. That's essentially a powered HDMI port, because the Roku stick gets all its power from that port. That is not a standard on most TVs. So check your TV first for MHL support. That's why Google, with its Chromecast, which works similarly, added a little power cord for it so that it would work with any HDMI port. But unless Roku's changed that, you still need an MHL. And remember, these are not going to be probably as powerful as the box. They don't have as much space, so overheating is an issue. Maybe it doesn't have as fast a processor. But it's a great solution if you want to save space. Now, space is not an issue. I would get the external box, personally. I really love Roku. I think Roku does such a great job. For those who don't know, it merely adds internet access to your television. If your TV already has it, you may not need it. But, that way you can get, Netflix, of course. Everything has Netflix, but Amazon streaming and so forth. 8888 Ask Leo, the website, by the way, to go to if you hear something and you want to know more, techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. That's free and open. You don't have to sign up or anything. Just go on in there. We have every show. We have every hour of every show. We have every question of every hour, so you can drill down to the question you want. And by the way, shortly after the show airs, we put audio from and video from YouTube up there, so you can actually, when you go to a question, watch or listen to the question and my answer. You can read the text. And then I hope you will do this if you have something to add. Instead of shouting at the radio, "What, Leo, you're full of it," just put it in the comments there. Don't be mean, but anything additional is always of value. I had the Roku stick, and this was my experience, that kind of thing. That'd be great. This site's always free, always open. It will always be that way, and that way we're gonna have a place people can go and look up. It's got a good search, find what they need quickly and easily, and I like that idea. So I would look at the Amazon stick is a lot cheaper. It's I think $39. The Roku stick is $99. So I would look at both of them. They give you a good result, though, I have to say. I think it's the internet is the future of television. Joe is on the line from Ghent, New York. Hi, Joe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, hey, Joe. We're going to have to take a break. Hang on. So close. So close. But you'll be right after the break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And then the Gizwiz. The Roku's not $99? Oh, good. I'll have to look at it. I bought it so long ago, I don't remember. Yeah, $50. That's a good deal. It's a good deal. What? It's Dick's head. It's the top of Dick's head. Hey, top of Dick's head.
Hey, Leo. How you doing? I don't like to reveal all of my identity at one time.
How's everything going?
Everything is going good, thank you, sir. Good. And you?
I'm well. You had a good birthday?
I did. I had a super birthday.
Yay. And you had a fun time at the yacht, yacht.
Oh, the meetup was great fun. Wow. Great fun. Cool. Yeah. And your costume looked great. And I saw it on...
Did you recognize me?
Google G. No, I did not.
Nobody recognized me.
Where did you go? Where were you trick-or-treating, or were you on your way to a party?
No. Lisa's son is 11. He's in 6th grade, so this is probably the last year that he's going to trick or treat. So we just went around the neighborhood and
good.
Begged people to give us candy. And you know what? A surprise. I was kind of cash. Actually, Michael did said, "Do you have to one person?" He said, "Do you have any money?" The guy said, "No." He said, "All right, I'll take candy."
Very funny.
I know. Kids today, I swear.
Yeah. If he was really smart, he would have a little credit card thing so that he could
Yeah, he should say, "I have Square." It's okay, I have
Square.
Square.
Yeah, exactly.
Just charge it.
Will this be cash or credit card, sir?
Just charge it. Let me find the photo and I'll show everybody. I thought we were a good-looking crew. There it is.
This is my friends who own a candy company.
They own a candy company?
You should see their house when they set up for Halloween.
Oh, that's their house?
That's their house.
Oh, my God. That's the stuff they gave out? Oh, my God.
They bring store displays home.
So, I am one of those 4 people.
Yeah. I would not have you all the way left.
That was an IT Pro TV. That's very good. Yes, that's me. I am sticking my stomach out, Dr. Mom. That is not normal.
No.
Hey, Jeff, knock it off. And so I'm the guy in Hangover. I even have my European carry-all man purse on. And then Michael is like hanging his head. Here's Hero Brian from Minecraft.
With an 8-bit sword.
8-bit sword. Isn't that awesome? I think he
Yeah.
stole that from Chad. And then next to him is Bridget. She's a creeper from Minecraft.
Okay.
And then we don't know who that other person there is. No, that's Lisa. I accidentally ordered 2 of the costume from Hangover. So Lisa's also dressed as the guy from Hangover. What's his name? I don't remember.
I don't
Zach
know.
Galifianakis, but what's the character's name? That belching sound, that's this guy here, Dick DiBartolo, the Giz Whiz. But let me finish the call, and then I will get to you. We have a great gadget coming up in just a second, but I had picked up Joe, and poor Joe in Ghent, New York. I picked him up, and then I said, hold on.
No,
Talk about
get
the
back
worst,
to that man.
the worst tease ever. Hi, Joe. Thanks for holding on.
Oh, thanks for having me on. This has been a freaky Halloween internet week for me. Started off, I had an email from JetBlue, which I thought was a advertisement, wanting me to check in for my flight from Fort Lauderdale to Boston.
Yeah. And did you have a flight from Fort Lauderdale to Boston?
Not when you live in New York.
So, ignore it.
It creeped me out. Well, I actually called JetBlue and to see if it was a real deal. And she goes, yes. You know, I could have checked into this account. I could have made changes to their...
They had the wrong email address.
Yeah, and the names were nothing. I mean, not even...
I get... Because my last name is Laporte, and I foolishly signed up when I signed up for Gmail way back when, 7 or 8 years ago. I signed up for Laporte at gmail.com. And unfortunately, every French person in the world sends their email to me.
Yeah, but
so it's just I get so much French email that is not for me, and even email from people saying like personal stuff. And I got an email the other day. Somebody said, "Hey, you know, I tried that password 123456, and it didn't work. So what's the other password?"
Yeah.
And it's like at some point I just stopped emailing them back saying you have the wrong number.
Yeah, but so these weren't.
Email is broken. Email is broken.
It was really scary. And then my second issue was I finally got sick of iPhones, and I brought myself a brand new Moto X. I got it this week.
Hey, it heard you.
Yeah, you heard that.
You got to whisper its name or it wakes up.
Yes, but I tried with all the talk. Listen to that.
See, she's talking to you.
Yeah. Google Wallet.
Yeah.
So I signed up. I signed up for Google Wallet.
Yeah.
And the first thing that appeared on there was a purchase, an online purchase that I made in 2008.
Yeah.
And then I used it today at McDonald's, and even though I have an American Express issued into
the way it works is you fund. Google Wallet is weird. It's not a credit card. You fund it from a credit card, and it gets a balance. And then that's what McDonald's gets is against your Google Wallet balance. When your balance hits 0, you either have to fund it or you can set Google Wallet to auto fund it from that credit card. So it won't show up as an American Express charge. The only American Express charge you'll ever see is from Google Wallet. It will show up as a Google Wallet. And by the way, it's not a credit card, and some of the protections of credit cards do not apply to Google Wallet. I had a spurious charge on my Google Wallet, and Google Wallet wouldn't fix it. They said, you got to call a credit card company.
Ooh, so maybe because this is
because I was using their MasterCard. You know, they will attach it to a MasterCard.
Yeah, that's what then it kind of spooked me.
Yeah, I would say don't use the MasterCard because I feel that you're not getting the protections you would get from a normal credit card.
So don't use Google. Well, it's tied to an Amex card.
Yeah, that's fine. So let it be a Google Wallet. I guess you could use the MasterCard too. I don't know what the advantage of it.
There is no MasterCard.
Oh, you didn't sign up for the MasterCard?
No, it just. But it said it's fun. Kind of what you said. It's funded from a virtual.
Yeah. That's how it works. It's strange. It's kind of like, remember Microsoft points, where you would buy points from Microsoft and then use the points to buy a game. It's just like that.
Yeah, so now I don't know if I should use it or not.
Oh, I use it. You know why you use it? Because it's convenient when you buy apps in Android store or you buy music and so forth. It's convenient. I don't think it's unsafe. It's tied to your Google account. I would make sure you lock your Google account down. You know, use two-factor authentication if you could put up with the inconvenience. It's kind of basically, as somebody in the chat room was pointing out, a prepaid debit card.
I never put any balance. But there's right now my Google Wallet says there's zero balance on it.
Yeah, so you won't be able to use it until you put some money in there.
Well, I went to a McDonald's. I did it that way.
And did it pull money from your Amex?
I've got to check.
I bet it did. It must be, they may be doing that now. They just added that capability of auto funding. When your balance gets to zero, I bet you, if you set up for a new account, I bet you they just turn that on. So it's tied to a credit card. When it gets to zero, it'll pull it out of the American Express. You will never see a McDonald's charge in your American Express. You'll only see a Google Wallet charge, and you'll see the McDonald's charge in your Google Wallet. Does that make sense? Credit card, that's for convenience, so that you go somewhere that doesn't take Google Wallet, you have a MasterCard, but it's a MasterCard tied to the Google Wallet. So now what happens is it will debit the Google Wallet. If the Google Wallet hits zero, it'll debit the Amex. It's crazy, but it works. I don't think it's unsafe. And the other reason you might want Google Wallet is because eventually, as we get to this tap and pay world, thanks to Apple and promoting Apple Pay, you'll be able to use your Android phone with NFC and your Google Wallet to tap and pay as well. And that's going to be, I think, a real convenience. That's why I keep my Google Wallet. We'll put a link to their fraud protection policies in the website. Scooter X has put it up in the chat room, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it's like Easy Pass. Somebody says like an Easy Pass. Yeah, you know how where you drive through the toll lane, it debits it till it gets to zero, and then they charge your credit card and fill it up again. Just like that. Dick D. Bartolo's here, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He joins us each week with a gadget.
Talk about confusion. Your last caller, his McDonald bill is on my American Express card.
That's okay, because you were flying to Fort Lauderdale, so it all worked out.
Exactly. It all worked out.
It all worked out.
It all worked out. All right, so I have a new watch coming shortly.
What'd you
get? It's
very
funny. It was an event called Get Geeked.
Yeah.
And there are 3 teenagers at the table, and I think, oh, this is so nice. These guys are helping out their father. Anyway, turns out these 3 17-year-olds started their own company.
You're kidding.
And invented their own gadget called the Spark Watch. Now, for some reason, it is at wearblanc.com, BLANC. But
this was a Kickstarter, wasn't it?
You know what? I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Sounds familiar.
So it's a good-looking LCD screen, but no apps or anything. It does 2 things. It tells time.
What? That's unheard of.
But it keeps track of your activity to the day during the day, and if it senses you are starting to fall asleep at a time you should not be falling asleep, it vibrates gently on your wrist so that you can wake up during that meeting without someone goes, "What is that alarm going on?"
Or while you drive.
While you drive, or while you are in school.
Oh, that's why 17-year-olds wanted it. They fall asleep in school.
That's exactly why they started it. So the startup price is not bad. It's $49. And
that's very affordable.
No, it's very affordable. Yeah. And they said the retail, when it is fully funded and in the marketplace, will be $79. So I thought it was very clever for...
and I love it. It's 2 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes, isn't it?
Wow. The future is bright for them.
Exactly.
So if you don't want to fall asleep in school or at the wheel or in a meeting.
Or at the meeting.
Does it send? It should send a little electrical shock up your arm.
I think it's just a little...
just a buzz.
I think the one that they're working on for Twit, I think it's 240 volts.
If you're listening to the Tech Guy Show, you certainly need more than a little bzz to wake you up. Dick DeBartolo's at gizwiz.biz. That's his website. All the details for this there. And don't forget, a brand new game starts. Game. Yep. What the heck is it game? Brand new chance to win. We'll talk about the winners from last game next week. Thank you, Dick. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.